All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Guilty as Charged podcast. I'm your host, Alex. Steven is vacationing. This is going to be a beautiful disaster. But to help me today in these trying times, I have Tyler, my co-host, and we have Arjun, who you may have seen on the channel do a lot of analytics videos. He'll tell us stupid people what those analytics mean, and that's what he's here for. So, Arjun, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hope everyone's going to enjoy this episode with a little bit of analytical background into this.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to hear all about it. I know we'll definitely discuss it. Alex, you give us no credit, though. The stupid other people are one guy's going to med school, the other one's doing stem cell research at UCI. So I think we're doing okay here. We're a collective group of nerds, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing okay, generally speaking, but I'm not doing okay today with Steven out, and the pressure is on me, the host. So, but the pressure will be on you guys later because we will be doing Chargers Trivia Night tonight, bringing that back from last year.
Terrifying.
So that's how you know it's the off season. So that's fun. We will first start getting into Arjun. So you've been doing videos on the channel, buddy. What have you kind of been learning from your videos? What are the main kind of topics of your videos been for people who haven't watched them on the channel yet?
Yeah, so I've tried to do my best to encapsulate all three phases of the Chargers: special teams, defense, and offense. I've gone a little bit into depth in Justin Herbert, and I made like a couple regression videos on whether I think he'll regress or not. And ultimately, I'm just here to try to give Chargers fans a new perspective into what the Chargers really were in 2020 and what they could be in 2021. Because when I really started using Twitter for analytics, the one thing I noticed was the Chargers Twitter never really had an analytics person, if I'm being completely honest. Like if you looked at like the Cowboys or Washington or Chicago Bears, like they all had like a dedicated analytics page. But the Chargers Twitter really never had one. So I was like, hey, maybe, this could be something I could take over and I could enter this really niche field. And I mean, I think the response has been pretty warm-hearted from the people on Twitter. Like I've been getting a lot of like good comments and a lot of, likes and retweets here and there, which makes me happy, that people are receptive, because, I know some of the old school guys aren't as receptive to analytics as, people from my generation and, a little bit older than me. They're a little bit more receptive. So I'm glad everyone's enjoying it. And I'm really thankful that, you two and Steven allowed me to come on the channel and produce videos for you guys, just helping me to get my name out there as well.
I would say that the last coaching staff wouldn't have been receptive to any of your ideas, but hopefully the new coaching staff is receptive to some of those ideas that you bring up in a lot of your analytics videos. So, I mean, one of the main topics that you've been doing in your series is sort of the why Brandon Staley is a defensive genius. What did you kind of learn from those videos and what he might bring to the Chargers on that front this year?
Yeah, so the way I put it is like Brandon Staley is the leading guy and what the league's defense will look like in the next 5 years. I think, when McVay and Shanahan got hired in 2017, they brought back the play action, the bootlegs, the crossers, and cover three. The single high doesn't really stop that. Like the play action bootleg is the counter to the cover three, and now Brandon Staley's countering McVay and Shanahan. And having played or coached alongside McVay in 2020, I actually think that helped him a lot, because now you had a whole offseason or partial offseason in 2020 where he was going against McVay in training camp and everything. And so the main thing to take away is he's using two high safeties, which in this case is going to be Derwin and Nasir. And I'm really, really hoping Derwin stays healthy, because I actually think he's going to have a monster year in this two high look. But he's going to put the best players in the best positions, and he's going to run too high, and he's not going to tell the offense what coverage he's running, unlike Gus Bradley, who literally showed single high, like at one of the highest rates in the league last year, ran cover three at one of the highest rates last year. And I think Brandon Staley is going to go away from that. And if you listen to some of his podcasts with like Robert Mays on The Athletic or even Chris Collinsworth on PFF, he talks a lot about how he's going to use quarters, which I think is going to be the new cover three, because it helps to really eliminate crossers, because you have your safeties looking down so they can see everything that's happening in front of them. But with cover three, right, you have a box safety, and he has to, like a Rayshon, right? Like he made a lot of good plays on the run, but there were also a lot of times where he like overcommitted from when I watched him play. And that's why, there's a lot of times that there were some crossers that got behind him. But I think now Staley should be able to implement this too high. And hopefully this Chargers defense is able to maximize the insane amount of talent that it has.
All right. And Tyler, did you want to say anything?
No, it's great so far. Have at it, Alex.
It's great so far. Little teaser, we will be having Robert Mays on the show. So that's exciting. Steven did lock down that interview. That'll be happening sometime in the next 2 weeks. So go listen to his interview, and then he'll talk about the interview of this show, because that's how these podcasts regurgitate content. I did want to get into the idea of Justin Herbert regression and sort of what you think about that, because that's been a whole debate on Twitter about whether Justin Herbert will regress because of Joe Lombardi, or, maybe he's not as stable as under pressure as he was, or that's not going to carry over to this season. What are some of your thoughts on that? And then we'll go to Tyler.
Yeah. So number one, I think, Joe Lombardi, I think when he went to Detroit, I forget where I read it, but I read a story saying Jim Caldwell forced Lombardi to have an entire game plan ready by Tuesday. And Joe Lombardi always talks about how in New Orleans, him, Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael, they always had this collaborative group effort to create a game plan leading up to Sunday. And so to go into like a new culture, like where Jim Caldwell was in Detroit, and have a full game plan ready by Tuesday, it could throw anybody off, right? And now he's coming to the Chargers, where Brandon Staley's always preached this is going to be a team effort within the players and the coaching staff. So I don't think Shane Steichen was that bad, honestly. I think his lows were really bad, but he was like not that bad of a play caller. And I've actually had the opportunity to talk with PFF Eric, who's like the head of research and development at PFF, and he brought up a really interesting point. He said, Justin Herbert led the league in pressure, or in passer rating under pressure, right? Like he was the best quarterback under pressure. So that really has to mean two things. Like Herbert was like insane off, like out of the pocket, which in a sense he was, but you can't be like that good all the time. Or number two, your offensive coordinator is able to scheme players open, right? And Next Gen Stats has Chargers as, one of the worst teams in terms of separation. So a lot of the times Herbert was playing under pressure. Shane Steichen did do a solid job of scheming players open and getting them the ball when necessary. Now, the whole will Justin Herbert regress passing under pressure? Yeah, his passing under pressure is going to decrease. Like that is not sustainable. I've talked about it in my Justin Herbert regression video. But like why I don't understand why people are saying his play from a clean pocket is going to get like worse or stay the same. Like he has an upgraded offensive line. They drafted Josh Palmer and Trey McKitty. Jared Cook could be a better receiving threat than Hunter Henry. Like we don't really know how that's going to play out. And this offense could be better than what they were last year. So realistically, with more clean pockets, a full offseason where he's the unquestioned starter, I think we're going to see some positive regression. So he was below average in passing from a clean pocket. So positive regression is actually a good thing, where you get closer to the mean. And we could see him be a top 10, top 5 quarterback from a clean pocket. So, he's going to regress in some areas, but I actually think he's going to improve as a quarterback, and hopefully he'll have a better offense and, better coaching staff to work with in this season.
Yeah, Arjun, you basically stole everything that I could have possibly said, which is great, because those are all fantastic ideas, and your videos, of course, have covered that. If you have not watched it, please go check those out. The Caldwell game plan by Tuesday thing was first brought to my attention by Steven, who read that book by Jeff Duncan, I believe, who covers the Saints for, I think, The Athletic. So yeah, the idea that they would have to get a game plan by Tuesday makes no sense to me. Like, I don't know what you think, but I don't know how fast someone could take analytics or anything and put together a game plan by Tuesday. I assume they didn't then, because I don't know how fast analytics gets out there. My question for you, because you're the guest on the show and I want to pick your brain, and I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but obviously people will talk about, the sophomore slump or whatever, but then they point to the MVP seasons of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, guys that, got better for whatever reason in their second full season. And people point to that being kind of the ceiling for Herbert. So, if if possible, I don't know if you don't know, I didn't ask you to prepare for this, so I'm sorry if you don't. What is it that those guys possibly could have gotten better at in their respective categories? Maybe they're completely different things because they're two different players. And is that something that Herbert could get better at as well? Or do you know much about the history of those guys and what they got better at?
Yeah. So I think that's a great point. And I think the one thing I'm going to say is Patrick Mahomes had continuity from year 1 to year 2. Andy Reid, he lost Matt Nagy, but Andy Reid's the play caller in that offense. It's kind of the reason Eric Bieniemy hasn't got hired, because he's not the one really calling the plays throughout the whole game. I know the Ravens, I think I forget his name. He went to the Eagles. He was offensive coordinator in 2018, and then Greg Roman took over in 2019.
Come on, Alex.
DiFilippo. No.
Wait, he was with the Vikings. It was Marty Mordenweg, I think.
Oh, Marty Mordenweg, right? Okay.
Yeah. So at the end of 2018, the Ravens kind of implemented this like pistol style read option type offense, right? And they kind of carried that over, right? Justin Herbert's going to be learning a completely different offense, right? 30-40% of it, the passing plays, what we are kind of hypothesizing is what is coming from the Saints, right? It's not going to be a completely new offense, but a large majority of it is going to be something that Justin Herbert has to learn from scratch. And so when you're Mahomes and you're staying in that same offense, you went through the whole year, even as a backup, having that continuity is nice. And he had continuity across that offensive line. Tyreek stayed, Travis Kelce stayed. So he had some continuity. Same with Lamar Jackson to an extent. And Greg Roman, I mean, that offense, we've never seen that offense ever. Maybe like Cam Newton's prime, but even then, like Lamar Jackson had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, QB rushing season in history. So that would be my answer. I wouldn't say they necessarily. I think the one thing Lamar Jackson got better at was his EPA obviously got better. So obviously on a per play basis, he was much more efficient in 2019 in his MVP season. And Mahomes, I mean, what he did in his second year was insane. I really couldn't tell you, how he did it. And we don't really have a basis for comparison for that because he didn't play his rookie year.
Right.
But, Justin Herbert, we have a decent sample size. And the one thing I want to say he needs to get better at is accuracy. And that's the thing everyone's dinged him on. So the stat like I use for that is CPOE, which is completion percent probability over expected. And so he ranked 23rd in the league in that, which is below average. And CPOE notoriously doesn't really help big armed quarterbacks. Like Mahomes ranked 11th. Matthew Stafford was in like the late teens. So we won't see him likely be a top 5 quarterback. I'm not saying he needs to be that,
right?
But I think he needs to improve to at least be around like the 9 to 12 region. And I think that's a possibility for him. Okay. That he has a full off season. So that would be my answer to your question, like continuity and just having an offense that's tailored to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think continuity is something that maybe people don't talk about just because a lot of people wanted the old coaching staff out so bad that, maybe people didn't consider kind of like the negative repercussions of that and the fact that Herbert kind of wanted Anthony Lynn back for what it's worth. But, the thing with the regression that people have talked about is like, the Fabiano piece was kind of like, okay, well, Joe Lombardi could be bad. And so therefore Justin Herbert could regress. But couldn't you also make the argument that Joe Lombardi could be good? Feel like the whole argument is kind of just based on a lot of things that we don't know. And something that I don't think people are paying enough attention to is Pep Hamilton leaving and Shane Day coming in. I just kind of wonder how maybe that'll affect Justin Herbert's mechanics going forward, because, Pep Hamilton did have a lot to do with him getting better under pressure in some of those situations, in addition to Steichen scheming him open. Like Arjun mentioned. So for me, you talk about kind of Shane Day, you talk about the new offensive coordinator and Joe Lombardi, and then you also talk about kind of some of the new weapons that he has, with Josh Palmer, having Austin Eckler back for a full season. And even if you're talking about like, okay, I don't think his, EPA under pressure and, kind of passing under pressure will be sustainable, but he does have this new offensive line, so he's not going to face as much pressure. Right. I think you can kind of make positive and negative arguments for it, but I think there's a lot of variables that we sort of don't know and just won't know until we really get to like week 8. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I wanted to bring up one more point. there was another point that people bring up, like Justin Herbert was really good on third down. Like I did some research on this. Like the Chargers ran the third most third down plays, and that's not good, which means they were inefficient on first and second down. And when I looked at it, the Chargers literally had the second worst rushing attack per EPA on first down. Like we all saw, I've heard you guys talk about
Kalen
it,
Balazs up the middle.
Exactly. Took it right out of my mouth. Like that was the game plan on first down. Just give it to Kalen Balazs or Joshua Kelly up the middle. And it didn't make sense, right? And Herbert would be in all of these third down situations. I mean, the fact that he was so good on a large sample size should be something that's, that should be exciting. Like he performed well when all the pressure was on him. Yeah, he probably will regress, but as a rookie behind like the worst offensive line in the league, he performed so well under pressure, out of the pocket, finding receivers when he needed to. So I think if anything, he might regress a little bit there, but it should be something that we look forward to, that he has the ability to, put a lot on his back and step up when the team needs him.
All right, let me try for a difficult question. Maybe it's an easy question. I don't know how many dislikes we'll get for this. Would Herbert have a better season? So considering continuity versus the new offense, let's assume that the same players were brought in and the same offensive line was in, because that would be unfair to compare last offensive line to this offensive line. Would Herbert have a better 2021 season? Just talking about that season, not his career. If he had stuck with the previous regime or if with this new regime. I'm talking about one season just this year.
What do you have to go
with that like and dislike bar safely?
What do you be going through the offseason as the backup or as the starter again?
Oh, sorry. So I mean, I'm talking about 2020 situation. Okay, so he went through the whole 2020 season exactly as it did. I'm just saying now this year as the starter with every new piece that has been added, the only difference being the coaching staff. Would he have a better season with the continuity, but what I probably consider a worse coaching staff, or with this new coaching staff, but no continuity in terms of the play calling?
I think he would do better with continuity, to be honest.
Okay.
Just getting better at that offense. And like you hear players and coaches say they've mastered the playbook, right? Like Drew Brees mastered that Saints playbook to the point where they could just tack on more and more, right? And I think, Justin Herbert would have gotten to that point. Not saying that I don't like this new coaching staff. There's no sample size to go off of. Like, we don't know what it's going to be.
Of course.
I mean, the one thing I'm really excited about with the coaching staff is the defense. Like the offense, I think is still going to be good, but this defense legitimately has top 3 upside. Like, I'm someone that like stays away from optimism and pessimism. Like I try to like be right in the middle, but like when I say Staley is so smart and this defense, I truly believe, like I'm backing myself up when I say that. So, but I would say that like the continuity would help more. Even with the pieces that they had, and maybe Lynn's offense would have worked if he had a decent offensive line, but Shane Steichen needed to let go of some of those low points, and I think game management would have still been an issue, even regardless of how many analytical people they have on the staff.
Yeah, I think Shane Steichen needed to let go of 3rd and 1 Joshua Kelly jet sweeps. Those weren't so great. But yeah, no, I think you bring up a point about continuity and just being in a system for a year. And that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to watch. I have faith in Joe Lombardi to a degree. I just think Shane Steichen, and I'm still going to have to deal with Shane Steichen because he's the Eagles offensive coordinator. So either way, I think Shane Steichen had his good moments, particularly the first half of the season. I just think sometimes in the second half of the season, he kind of got in his own head a little bit, particularly like the Buffalo, New England, that kind of stretch of games, I think really affected him with the team. I do want to get your thoughts on the quote where Brandon Staley said, "I'm a quarterback coaching defense," and both what you think that means for the defense and the offense in terms of the research and the videos that you've done.
Yeah, I'm most excited for that for Justin Herbert rather than the defense. Like, I think obviously the defense will benefit, but when you look at guys like Tom Brady was never this insane talented guy coming out of Michigan, right? Like he was a 6th round pick for a reason. But Belichick and this is why I'm really scared of the Mac Jones pick. Like Belichick taught him how to read defenses, right? It's the same idea with like a Mike Tomlin. It's the same kind of idea with like John Harbaugh in Baltimore. The coach teaches these QBs how to read defenses. They teach them the tendencies. They teach them like what to look for in safety rotations and all of that. And if the QB is good enough, they run with it and they have these MVP type seasons. And that is what I think is so exciting about Brandon Staley. Like he played quarterback like that, and he knows how to read defenses from the quarterback side, and he knows how to read quarterbacks from the defensive side. And so when I hear him say that, I know he's going to be spending a lot of time with Justin Herbert and really just trying to teach him about how to read defenses. And I'm going to bring up that Miami game, which I've brought up a lot. Keenan Allen literally said, we didn't know what the hell was going on. If we didn't know what was going on, Justin Herbert just handed the ball up to Kalen Ballage and said, like, screw it. Like, we'll try to get yards that way. I don't think that's going to happen that often. Maybe, Brandon Staley has a couple rookie head coaching gaffes here and there, but I truly think that Justin Herbert is going to learn a lot. And, like, this could be the hire that we see a Belichick Brady type partnership for a long time to come. And so that would be my take on it, Alex.
Yeah. All right. So that does it for our regression segment. But now we're going to get to the main course here in terms of a Chargers trivia showdown between these two guys. So I'm going to lay out the rules.
Oh, boy.
6 questions. One of them is multiple choice. And there will be about 30 seconds for the short questions to prepare your answer. Tyler will go first on the first question. Then Arjun will go first on the second question. They each are worth an increasing amount of points. So the first question worth 1 point. The second question worth 2 points. The third question worth 3, and so on and so forth. There will be 6 of these questions, and I will be timing you guys. So without further ado, do you guys want to get started?
How long are these questions I have to prepare for? Do I have to write something down? Like,
no, you don't have to write anything down. You're either just going to know it or you're not going to know it. But I will allow you time to think about it as someone who is just a very nice person. All right. Let's get to the first question.
All right.
This is multiple choice, so we're starting easy. How many games did kicker Caleb Sturgis play in 2018 after being cut by the Chargers? So, of course, Caleb Sturgis won that kicking competition, but then was cut in favor of Michael Badgley. Your choices are A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, D, 7. I will give you 30 seconds, Tyler, unless you want to give your answer now.
Jeez Louise. Okay, so I can tell you what I remember from the season. Since I have 30 seconds, I'm going to steal some time. I know that he played some games. He was hurt, and then he came back and was awful against like Seattle. I don't think it was a low amount of games, so I don't think it was like 4 or anything. I'm going to go with. So give me the 4 choices again.
Again, A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, D, 7.
I'll go with C.
Okay. Arjun, I come to you. Again, the choices were A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, D, 7. What do you think?
Yeah, so my anecdote is I went to that 49ers game in 2018 where he missed, I think, a field goal. He missed like 2 PATs, I think. And I was like, we signed this guy to a 3-year deal. And I was like, bro, and thank God we got Badgley for that season, or we wouldn't have won that Ravens game. But I think the answer is C, 6, because he played 5, 6, 7 was Badgley, 6, 7 was Badgley, and then 8 was Sturgis. Okay,
so the answer is C6. You both escaped with 1 point, and these questions.
That was the easy one.
That might have been the easy one. All right, let's go to number 2. 2015 special teams tackles leader for the Chargers had 13 special teams tackles. Who was it? This question is worth 2 points. I will start with Arjun.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't really followed special teams since like 2018. So I'm gonna think through this. So I know they drafted Derek Watt that year. Adrian Phillips was on the team. I'm gonna go with Nick DeZubnar. I don't know if he's on the team though, but I think he might have led the team there.
Tyler, we go to you.
That was my first thought too. I'm going to change it up, and I don't think it was Phillips until later. It wasn't Watt until later. DeZubnar was 2018. It was like DeZubnar, Phillips, and then Watt in that order, I think, or Watt then Phillips. I'm going to go Jeremy Davis then.
Okay, both of your answers are in, and the points go to Arjun.
Nice.
Arjun got it.
Nice.
Nick Zubner. He will go up 3-1 on Tyler here.
Okay.
And that leads us into question number 3. In 2011, Vincent Jackson and the Chargers could not come to a long-term agreement. However, Jackson signed a 1-year franchise tag. Tell me, to the nearest 10th place, how many millions he signed for. So, for example, you can phrase your answer as 2.8 million or 3.7 million. Tell me to the nearest 10th place how much he signed for.
So whoever's the closest gets the points.
Whoever's closest gets the points. Tyler, you go first.
9.9.
9.9. Arjun, what do you think?
I'm going to price it. Write it. I'm going to go 10.0.
10.0. Okay. In 2011, Vincent Jackson made 11.4 million on the franchise tag, which means the points go to Arjun. So Arjun goes up 6-1 in our little trivia.
That's kind of interesting though. Like the franchise tag was that much in 2011. Like I feel like inflation now, like the franchise tag is around like 17, 18 or something, 16, 17. Or it should be like 15, right? Because like Mike Williams is 15 mil a year.
That's his fifth-year option.
Yeah, that's the 5th-year option, not the.
Oh, but wait. So okay, maybe I'm tripping, but that seems a little bit high for what it was in 2011, in my opinion.
No, yeah, that's what it was. I'm just curious, just to look up the franchise tag numbers now. So I want to say it's around 17, 18 million. Derwin will be playing on the safety tag next year, so that'll be 9 million. The 2021 franchise tag for receivers is set at 16.4 million. Someone like Allen Robinson, I think he got 17.8 because of some salary rule, but yeah, so it was 16.4 million this year. So Arjun has a 6-1 lead. That leads us into question number 4. J.J. Jones made the 2018 Chargers roster following an impressive 72-yard kick return in the preseason. Which team were the Chargers playing in that game? And this, I'll start with Arjun. Who were the Chargers playing in that J.J. Jones preseason game?
Okay, I think I know some of my options. I'm not going to share it because I don't want Tyler to have an edge.
It's the same
there.
4 teams they've always played, dude. Come on.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
Okay, that gives us to Tyler. Who do you think they played?
Here's the problem. I didn't pick DeZubnar because I want to pick somebody different. So I want to pick someone different again here because I don't want to pick the same guy. We're just gonna tie the entire time. So J.J. Jones did it against, I'll say, the 49ers.
Could be the 49ers. So the Chargers, J.J. Jones, 72-yard kick return was just before halftime in the home opener at StubHub Center against the Seattle Seahawks. So Arjun gets the points, and so that'll be a 10-1 lead for Arjun.
Okay.
He's opening it up, but there's still time for Tyler to get back into this one.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of points.
Points.
Phillip Rivers finished his career with 63,440 passing yards. Mm-hmm. That's good enough for 5th on the NFL's all-time passing yards list. Tell me the 4 quarterbacks who have more passing yards than Phillip Rivers. That will be worth 4 points. And a bonus point on this one if you can tell me who Phillip Rivers just passed to get to 5th place. So, again, the 4 quarterbacks who are in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 4th place. I don't need the order, just the quarterbacks. And tell me who he passed to get to 5th place for the bonus point. I will start with Tyler on this one since Arjun went first last time.
I'm going to say he passed Marino. And I believe in front of him are Breeze, I guess Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and why can't I think of the other guy? Oh no, I can't think of a 4th name. Is it Favre? Is it Elway? Is it? No, it's not right. Oh boy. I guess I'll go with Favre because he played a long freaking time.
Okay. Arjun, you're up.
Yeah, so my 4 would be Manning or Brady, Breeze, Manning, and I think it's Favre also. I think I'm not too sure on the guy he just passed. I'm gonna take a weird one. I think I've seen this guy in the all-time books, Fran Tarkenton from the Vikings. I don't know how to say his last name, but that's my guy.
Fran Tarkenton, yeah.
Okay. So, on this question, Tyler, you walk away with all 5 points on this one. So now it is 10-6. Arjun, you got the 4 quarterbacks, but you did not get Fran Tarkenton. So that is a 14-6 lead. So Tyler cuts into the lead a little bit. So, you got to use those Asian skills a little bit better on the next question. But
I feel like I'm helping these answers out a bit here.
Question 6. The Chargers drafted 6 players in the 2014 NFL draft. They drafted in each round except for one. Tell me the round. That's for 5 points. And bonus point, tell me what they did with that pick instead of drafting a player.
I could do this right
So we
now.
have to say the. We have to say the.
So yeah, five points for the pick. Sorry. Yeah, 5 points for the round. And what did they do so that they didn't have a pick, right? So that will be the bonus point. Arjun, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna be honest. I've been a real Chargers fan since I was born. I haven't really gone in depth in the draft and followed it that closely since 2017. So this one is a little foggy, but I think they traded up to draft Manti Te'o in the 2nd round, and they traded a 5th round pick to get him.
Okay, Tyler, we go to you.
They traded a 4th round pick, and they selected Jeremiah Tauchu by trading up.
All right, let's see who was right. Arjun, I'm sorry, but you were incorrect. Tyler gets the points here, so
I'm still behind though.
you still lost, but you made it a tough one. 14-12 is the final score of Chargers Trivia Night. Arjun walks away with the win. Arjun, how do you feel about booting Tyler off of this podcast so you can come on now that you've won the game?
It feels good. Honestly, though, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like Tyler should have won that because in the 5th question, it should be winner takes all and not, I get 4 points, he gets 5. But I'm fine with taking the dub anyway. But, I think it could have gone both ways.
Listen, buddy, if you want to stay on this channel, it's not a good idea to criticize the host. But anyway, so I'm just going to say that. But Tyler, you did walk it off with that Jerry Tauchu question. How did you remember that?
Because I've been a season ticket holder since 2013, and the Chargers gave up a 4th round pick every year the first 3 years of Telesco's career. I knew it wasn't Teo. I knew the next year was Perryman. So I figured it was the Tauchu. And that's all I got. That's the only answer I feel like I actually knew this entire time. So thank you for giving me the final question to feel like I knew something.
It's very weird that they gave up a 4th round pick every single year, except in the last couple
Wait.
years.
So
sorry, no,
they give up.
sorry, they didn't trade it for Perryman. They gave up a fourth for Gordon.
Oh, right, that was that year.
Look, as an analytical guy, like trading up is like the cardinal sin, right? And for them to trade up for an off-ball linebacker in Manti Te'o, a weak side, like maybe run stuff, whatever Jerry Tauchi was, like he was like an edge rusher, right? Something of that nature, outside linebacker, and then a running back, like possibly the two least valuable positions on both sides of the ball. Like that's, I'm glad the Chargers, didn't trade up this draft, even though they had extra selections. Like, even though they were the only team to not make a trade, which is also kind of crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird looking back on that Gordon trade, just because I don't think that would happen today. Like, I don't think anyone would actually trade up for a running back, and it actually wasn't that long ago. It was only like 6 years ago that you would pick Zeke with a 4th round pick and feel completely fine about it. And you would trade up for Melvin Gordon. So, it was a very weird time where running backs mattered, and, I don't think PFF existed yet. So, yeah, different times nowadays. All right. So that will wrap up our show for today. Thanks, Arjun, for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Arjun Menon, my name in my box 100 on Twitter. That's pretty much where I'm posting all my Chargers and NFL related graphs. A lot of analytics there, and I have a link to all of my NFL/Charger articles in my bio, in my link there in my bio if you want to go check that out. But again, thank you for watching, and thank you for you guys for letting me come on the show, and in honor Steven.
Oh, honor Steven. He's not dead. He's just on vacation in Utah. He doesn't really need to be honored.
He'd rather be
dead. All right. And Tyler, what are you doing? And what can people find you, debate loser?
Thanks a lot. In true Chargers fan fashion, I made a resounding comeback, but I could not win in the end. So that makes me, I think, the most complete Chargers fan. You can find me at Tyler J. Schoon on Twitter. Of course, you can always find me on YouTube. And many of you have found me recently these past few weeks with your comments about, my face, my smile, or whatever. So, keep bringing those hateful comments on, man. I'm glad to take some of those for Alex.
Let me see some of that smile. That's a very good smile. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Show that to the camera. All right. Yeah, I will be writing a 53-man roster Chargers prediction. We kind of did that on the show a few weeks ago, but this is kind of a more exhaustive look at something like 3,000 words. I probably have to edit it down, or my editor will kill me. So that will be up probably sometime this week. Tyler used to be my editor, so he doesn't have to read that anymore. So that will wrap it up for our show today. Steven will be back sometime next Sunday for regularly scheduled programming, and we may be doing a podcast crossover sometime in the middle of the week for our Thursday pod. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I've been your host, Alex, and you just got guiltied? I don't know. Whatever. See you guys later.
God. Just oh my God.